lesbian detectives, unsolved cases. She's still missing. Yeah, they haven't found her yet. Well, let's talk about it.
They say he vanished without a trace. Could it be a psychotic break or a tragic accident? Police don't know where the body went. Unsolved murders, body still missing. That's unheard. Where's the witness? Lesbian detectives, what's going on? City on high alert, this out the norm. He did what, the who? Man, that ain't real, these crimes ain't true. Then come uncover these theories with us. We live right now, tuning in is a must.
Right now, lesbian detective. We about to start the show, so get your popcorn ready to go. Pay attention to the message I present to you, the lesbian detectives.
This is Lesbian Detectives. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Elizabeth.
And we are here to talk about missing and unsolved murders.
We are discussing cases that you have forgotten about or never even heard of.
So sit back, relax, and let's start this podcast. Happy Pride to everybody this month that's celebrating. I mean, you can be a person that's not even in the LGBT, but you still support us. So thank you to you too. So if you're L, if you're the G, or you're B, or you're the T, Happy Pride Month. Or even if you're the
Plus.
Oh, the plus. I forgot the plus. It's so many more letters that added, guys. I'm an old lesbian, so I can't keep up with all you young folks' terms, okay? But Happy Pride Month, and this month we are only doing LGBT cases. So the person will be part of that community. And I cannot wait because I feel like those cases are important because they're not given enough attention anyway. So, I mean, I'm happy to share a little light on those cases. And I do get a lot of questions like, hey, you're lesbian detectives. Why you don't do more LGBT cases? I'm like, I am this month, guys. But stop calling me out. But I'm ready to get to this episode. This episode, it's a hard episode to talk about. So let's get to it. Now, let me say my favorite line. Now, let's get into the episode. What if a 15-year-old vanished tomorrow without a trace? Most families would do everything possible to find them. They'll call the police, hang missing person posters, contact friends, search every place they could think of, and refuse to give up hope. But this case took a much stranger turn. After a teenage boy disappeared from his home in the winter of 1996, those closest to him say something unsettling happened. Photographs reportedly vanished from the walls. Personal belongings were discarded. His name became something that was hardly ever spoken. As the years passed, the mystery only deepened. Because the biggest question wasn't just where this teenager went, it was why so many events that followed seemed to erase the trace he left behind. For nearly 3 decades, investigators, family members, and those who follow the case have been left wondering, did this boy simply disappear? Or is there a much dark story hidden beneath the silence? This is one of the most hunted missing person cases you probably never heard of. And even today, the truth remains unknown. This is the case of Jack Morgan. Before we talk about the day Jack Morgan disappeared, I want to talk about who Jack was. Because in a lot of missing person cases, especially older ones, the victim can start to become just a name on a poster, a case number, a mystery. But Jack was a real kid with a real life. Jack Morgan was born on July 21st, 1981. In December 1996, he was 15 years old, living in San Diego, California. Family members describe him as kind, affectionate, and extremely caring. Donna Holland remembers him as a kid with a huge heart, not the kind of teenager who constantly pushed boundaries, not someone known for getting into trouble. Instead, Jack was known as a good student who generally cared about the people around him. He attended a private school. Teachers liked him, friends liked him, family members adored him. Years later, when people tried to understand what happened to him, one detail kept coming up again and again. Nobody who knew Jack believed he would simply disappear. That's important because in a missing person case, investigators always have to consider the possibility that someone left voluntarily. Maybe they ran away. Maybe they wanted a fresh start. Maybe they were escaping something. But according to the people who knew Jack best, none of that fit. His aunt said she didn't believe he would willingly cut contact with the people who loved him, especially his mother. According to family members, Jack was close with her, and while his parents were divorced, she remained a major part of his life. The idea that he would disappear for decades without reaching out to her just doesn't make sense to those who knew him. But by the fall of 1996, Jack's living situation had changed. He was living primarily with his father and his brother. Outside, it probably looked like an ordinary suburban family, but according to family members, there were tensions beneath the surface. Years later, Jack's aunt will describe his father as a violent man with a history of abuse towards Jack's mother during the marriage. Those allegations were never tested in court and connected with Jack's disappearance, but they form an important part of how family members view this case today, because when Jack vanished, their suspicion immediately focused on the last person known to have seen him. His father. December the 5th, 1996. It was a Thursday. For Jack, the day began like any other. There was school, normal routine, nothing that suggested this would be the last day anyone outside his family would see him. The details of this afternoon are limited. Much of what investigators know comes from later reports and family accounts. But one fact appeared throughout the case. At some point that afternoon, Jack and his father got into a bad argument. Exactly what they argued about remains unknown. No public record has ever revealed the topic. No witnesses have ever come forward with details. Investigators know is that an argument happened, and sometime afterwards, Jack disappeared. According to report, he was last seen at the family home around 3 o'clock that afternoon. Later, Jack's brother came home. Jack was gone. At first glance, that might seem like a typical runaway situation. Teenagers get angry. Arguments happen. Kids leave home. But almost immediately, investigators encountered a problem. Nothing about the scene suggested Jack had planned to leave. His clothes were still there. His belongings were still there. There was no indication he had packed anything. No note, no evidence he had withdrawn money. No sign he had arranged transportation. Nothing. If Jack had run away, he had permanently done so without taking the things most runaways take. And for most people involved in this case, that raised a troubling possibility. What if Jack never left on his own at all? As concerning as Jack's disappearance was, what happened afterwards is what transformed this case from a missing person investigation into a decade-long mystery. According to multiple reports, Jack's father refused to help with investigators. Now, to be clear, people have a right not to speak with police. Refusing an interview isn't evidence of guilt. According to reports, Jack's father told family members not to speak to police. And then something happened that family members still struggle to understand. The photographs came down. Pictures of Jack were removed from the home. His belongings were thrown away. And family members say that his name was not spoken inside that house. Think about that for a second. A 15-year-old child disappeared. Most families save everything. The bedroom stays untouched. The photographs remain on the walls. Parents hold on to every possible memory. But according to those closest to Jack, that isn't what happened here. Instead, they say it was as though someone was trying to erase evidence that he had ever been there at all. And the strange incidents didn't stop there. While Jack's mother and aunt were searching for answers, they decided to visit Jack's school. Their hope was simple: talk to his friends, find out whether he could find in somebody, and learn something investigators might have missed. But according to family members, before they could do that, Jack's father intervened to stop them. They never got the chance to ask the questions. As the investigation moved forward, one thing became clear. The people looking for Jack and the people controlling access to information about Jack did not seem to be working towards the same goal. Over the years, Jack's aunt had become one of the most outspoken person for Jack's case. She spent decades trying to keep his name alive, trying to keep pressure on investigators, and trying to make sure people don't forget what happened on December the 5th, 1996. According to Don, the answers to the mystery may lie in understanding who Jack was becoming during his teenage years.
Years after the disappearance, Holland shared something she believes may be critically important. She believes Jack may have been gay. Now, it's important to be careful here. There is no public evidence showing that Jack formally came out to his family. There is no known statement from Jack confirming this. And there is no public record proving that his father knew or suspected anything about his son's sexual identity. But Holland believes it may have played a role. She remembers Jack as affectionate, warm, and deeply caring. And while she acknowledges that none of those qualities determine a person's sexual orientation, she believes Jack was beginning to understand himself in ways that may have created tension inside the home. What makes the possibility significant is Holland's description of Jack's father. She has repeatedly described him as controlling, violent, and deeply intolerant. According to Holland, the family was already familiar with his temper long before Jack disappeared. She alleges that he had been physically abusive towards Jack's mother during the marriage. Again, these allegations were never adjudicated in connection with Jack's disappearance, but for Holland they provide context, because when she looks at everything that happened after Jack vanished, she doesn't see the actions of a grieving father. She sees the actions of someone trying to control a narrative, trying to control information, trying to control who could ask questions, and perhaps most importantly, trying to control what people remembered. For nearly 30 years, Holland has maintained the same belief. She believes Jack died on December the 5th, 1996, and she believes his father was responsible. Has publicly confirmed that conclusion. No charges have ever been filed, but it is the theory that has haunted this family from the very beginning. At the time Jack disappeared, one of the most influential crime television programs in America was America's Most Wanted. For younger listeners who may not remember it, this wasn't just another TV show. It was a national phenomenon hosted by John Walsh, whose own son, Adam, had been murdered in 1981. The show helped solve countless cases. When America's Most Wanted featured a missing child, millions of viewers saw the child's face. Families desperately wanted that exposure. It generated leads, created public awareness, and sometimes even solved cases. According to reports connected to Jack's disappearance, producers became interested in his story. A segment was reportedly being prepared. This could have been huge. Finally, people across the country would know his name. Finally, there might be new leads. Finally, someone might come forward. But the segment disappeared. According to accounts from family members and missing person advocates, Jack's father contacted the production and asked that the story not air. Somehow the episode was pulled. To this day, exactly why remains unclear. There has never been a public explanation that fully accounts for the decisions for Jack's family. The cancellation became yet another example of opportunities slipping away, another door closing, another chance at answers disappearing, because every year that passed made finding the truth harder. Memories fade, witnesses move, evidence disappears, and in Jack's case, the last point would become painfully literal. 3 years after Jack vanished, something happened that almost sounds impossible. The original missing person case file was lost, gone. The paperwork documenting the investigation could no longer be located. It's difficult to overstate how devastating that was. Investigative files contain timelines, witness statements, notes, follow up leads, and information collected during the most critical phase of any missing person case. Somehow, the foundation of the entire investigation vanished. Without that file, the case effectively stalled. Then it closed for years. No active investigation, no dedicated detective, no momentum, no answers. Imagine being Jack's mother. Every morning you wake up wondering where your son is. Every birthday passes without answers. Every holiday comes and goes. And meanwhile, the official investigation isn't just struggling, it is gone. For 14 years, Jack's case sat dormant. 14 years, an entire generation. During all of that time, his family kept searching. They kept talking. They kept hoping someone would listen because they believed something terrible had happened and they believed somebody knew the truth. One of the most heartbreaking aspects of this case involves someone who was there that day, Jack's brother. Now an adult, he remains one of the last living people known to have been inside the house during that period surrounding Jack's disappearance. According to Holland, there have been times when Jack's brother appeared to want to talk, times when it seemed like he might finally share what he knew. But those moments never became public disclosures. Today, decades later, he remains largely silent. We don't know why. There are countless possibilities: trauma, fear, loyalty, confusion, or perhaps he simply does not know what happened. The truth is, nobody outside that family can say for certain, but the silence itself has become part of the mystery. Because if there is someone alive who understands what happened inside that home better than anyone else, it may be him. And for nearly 30 years, whatever memories he carries have remained largely private. That's a difficult thing to think about. It's about everyone who has had to live with the absence he left behind: his mother, his aunt, his friends, his classmates, his brother. People whose lives were permanently divided into two chapters: before December 5th, 1996, and after. For years, it seemed like Jack Morgan's case might disappear completely. Not just Jack himself, but the case, the investigation, and the public attention. But then, in 2013, something changed. After nearly 17 years, efforts by missing person advocates helped bring new attention to Jack's disappearance. The case was reopened, and for the first time in years, there was renewed hope that someone might finally uncover the truth. A detective named Catherine Millett worked to breathe life back into a case that many people felt had been forgotten. It wasn't a miracle. There wasn't some dramatic new witness who suddenly came forward. There wasn't a hidden place of evidence awaiting to be discovered. But the case was alive again, and sometimes that's enough to create momentum, because every cold case has one thing in common: the truth doesn't disappear. People do. Evidence does. Memories do. But the truth remains exactly where it has always been, waiting for someone to uncover it. When investigators revisited Jack's case, they were forced to confront the same question that had existed since 1996. What actually happened on December the 5th? There are really only a handful of possibilities. The first is that Jack left voluntarily, that after arguing with his father, he decided to walk away and start over somewhere else. It happens, not often, but it happens, and investigators can never completely eliminate that possibility. But supporters of that theory face a difficult question. Why never contact anyone? Not his mother, not his friends, not his extended family. Never. Once. Nearly 30 years have passed. No confirmed sightings, no letters, no phone calls, no verifiable trace. Nothing. For many people who knew Jack, that simply doesn't fit the boy they remember. Then there is a second possibility that something happened to Jack after he left the house. Maybe he encountered someone dangerous. Maybe he became the victim of a crime unrelated to his family. Again, it's possible, but investigators have never uncovered evidence pointing clearly in that direction either, which leaves the theory that has haunted this case from the beginning, that Jack never truly left, at least not alive, that whatever happened to him happened sometime after that argument inside the home, and that the strange behavior that followed wasn't coincidence, but concealment. To be absolutely clear, no court has ever reached that conclusion. No prosecutor has ever filed charges. No jury has weighed evidence. And law enforcement that has never publicly named Jack's father as the person responsible for his disappearance. But for many observers, it is impossible to ignore the pattern. A boy disappears. His belongings are discarded. His photographs came down. His name becomes forbidden. Family members trying to gather information encountered roadblocks. A national television segment never airs. The case file itself goes missing. Individually, each event may have an explanation. Together, they create a story that is difficult to forget. There's another piece of context that often comes up when people discuss this case: the cultural reality of the 1990s. Today, conversations about sexual identity happen far more openly than they did 30 years ago. But in 1996, many LGBTQ teenagers lived in fear of rejection. Some faced hostility from classmates, others faced hostility at home, and in some households, being perceived as gay could trigger anger, violence, or expulsion. Again, there is no public evidence proving that Jack's sexual identity played a role in his disappearance, but his aunt believes it did. She believes Jack was beginning to understand who he was and that his understanding may have created conflict inside a household already struggling with deeper issues. Whether she is right remains unknown, but it is one of the most heartbreaking possibilities in the entire case. Because if it were true, it would mean that Jack wasn't harmed by a stranger. He was harmed by the very person responsible for protecting him. Before we end this case, let's remember the teenager who went missing. Today, Jack Morgan would be in his mid-40s. Think about that for a moment. A 15-year-old boy vanished in 1996, and nearly 3 decades later, no one knows where he went or what happened to him. He never got to finish high school, never got to build a career, start a family, or grow old in the eyes of those who loved him. Somewhere the answer exists. Someone knows something, but until that truth comes to light, Jack remains frozen in time, a teenager whose story ended before it was supposed to. And that's what makes this case so heartbreaking, because while the years have moved on for everyone else, for Jack Morgan, time stopped at 15. This is the case of Jack Morgan. Now let's get into some theories.
Theories.
Let's get into some theories. Everyone is a suspect until proven guilty. Let's get into some theories. Let's begin detectives. What type of thoughts you thinking? What theories running through your mind? I'm thinking all types of suspicion. Uncover the truth, what we can find. Witness say they saw somebody creeping out the back door. What you think they did it for? That's so crazy, I'm not sure. They found a car, where could she be? Here go another puzzle piece. Researching through your history. It's plenty unsolved mysteries. Everyone is a suspect until proven guilty. Let's get into some theories, yeah. Let's get into some theories. Everyone is a suspect until proven guilty. Let's get into some theories. Let's begin detectives.
You or me?
Good.
So this case is heartbreaking because Jack was just 15 years old and his aunt said they can see that he was gay. I feel like some people, like, for example, people couldn't notice if I was gay or not. But like you said, like, people could tell a little bit when you was younger.
Yes.
So I don't know if Jack was more effeminate. That's why they could tell, and I feel like that's probably was the reason. And it seemed like his father. I don't know what his father's job was, but it seemed like his father probably had money for him to be in private school. You know what I'm saying? And he did get full custody of his kids, and it seemed like the type of man he was. He likes control. He likes power. And Jack wasn't falling in line. Jack wasn't the son that he wanted. He wanted him a alpha man. He wanted him a man. Like that's what kind of son he wanted. And it doesn't seem like Jack was that type of young boy. And that's the heartbreaking part because if Jack did run away, I feel like he would let his mom know. Because every report said that he was so close to his mom. Like he was mama's boy. He loved his mama. And he would not just leave and not tell his mama. So, and his father, everything that his father is doing, to me, he gotta have money and power. You can't tell me no other reason why everything the police doing that he's stopping them. And like to me, as a police officer, I'm hearing all this stuff happening. Why aren't you guys doing your damn job? Because his father took down his photograph. They couldn't say his name in that house. His stuff was thrown out like it was trash. Like his father erased him. To me, if somebody asked his father how many kids you got, I bet he'll say, like, I just have one son. He wouldn't even count Jack. His mother's over here breaking her butt trying to find her son, and everywhere she goes, he stopped them. He stopped them. That he has to have money. He has to have control. So to me, that's the most heartbreaking part for Jack mom, because I'm a mom. For me, trying to find out what happened to my son, and my ex is over here stopping each turn I take. So each, like, my ex is stopping me. Each time I'm trying to find out what happened to my son, I get stopped. I get stopped. And I know she knows, like, my son's not alive. That man hurt my son. But I don't have the money control that he has. I don't have the influence that he has, because you can't tell me he don't have no influence. Because the police, they don't care for his paperwork to go missing out of nowhere and nobody noticed. Like, nobody's watching his case, somebody looking at his case. And then for his case to be almost on America Most Wanted, that could have really helped. And his father, like, cut that case. Cut it. I'm sorry. That man unalive his son. And I just, knowing a teenager, I was a teenager, guys. I know I'm old. He had a crush on a little boy. If he was gay and his aunt said he was gay, he had a crush. And I don't know if that boy liked him back and his father saw them kissing or something. But whoever Jack was closest with when he was younger in high school, he knows a lot. I don't know if he's scared to speak up now, or he probably was scared to speak up back then because he probably was in the closet. We don't know. But that boy that Jack had a crush with, his best friend, he knows what happened. Hands down, he knows what happened and what kind of man Jack's father was, and also that brother. I feel like that brother knows what happened that day, knows what happened. But I think he's too scared of his father to say it. I think if when he finally get out of the control of his father, he would speak up. He just needs therapy to me. He's not gonna do it like willingly. His father, that control his father has on him has to be gone. Or he could have turned out just like his father. We don't even know. It's a possibility. I'm sorry. You go. I was a long rant.
I agree that, I believe it was the father because, I've watched movies, never personally unalived anybody, nor will I. But I've seen that a lot of the times that happens, whoever does the unaliving does not want to see, deal, or be around somebody that they hurt, unless they're a serial killer that, take trophies. But other than that, you're going to try and avoid them or ignore them, try and get away. But that's something that's always going to follow you. That's something that's always going to be right there. And I feel like a lot of parents, whenever they do lose their children or they do lose someone that they love, the realization kicks in. Like, let's say it was not the father. If he was a good father, he would have been like, dang, like he would have tried to at least make up for what he wasn't while his son was living. But no, it's the other way around. Like, if anything, like he's not honoring his son's memory. He's trying to do everything in his power to get this case solved because at the end of the day, I feel like he's guilty. And I just think it's super unfair for somebody to do that. I would respect more the parents that kick out their kids because I understand it is a hard thing. Not that I'm saying that that's the right thing to do, but I would respect more somebody who kicked out their kids or kicked them,
To the curb.
kick them to the curb rather than unaliving. A lot of people say being gay is a choice. It's not. At least to me, it's not. You don't really choose who you love. It just happens. So, and if you are choosing, then you're probably both, which to me is totally fine. As long as you don't hurt another person because you're not wanting to accept whatever it is that you are. With me, it's kind of crazy because it took a lot for me to live in my truth. And now that I see people that don't, it's like a trigger for me. Like whenever I see people like being like sneaky or like not wanting to, I guess embrace what it is, it's a little triggering. But hey, everybody's has their
Path.
path and it's a process. But yeah, I mean, I do believe that it was the dad, and it's very unfortunate that it's been almost 30 years and he's still, you know, trying to keep this or control this situation. But I do believe in karma, and even though he thinks he's winning now, the truth will come to light. And I don't believe he's at peace. I don't believe he's at peace, and I don't think he ever will be.
I think, like, I don't know. I feel like, as I said, Jack probably had a crush. And I don't know if the boy was into him as the same, but I feel like they probably was sneaking around a little bit. And Jack's father found out. And then that's what happened. I think why the father stopped her from talking to the kids at the school because the little boy probably went to their school. And it probably wasn't going to be hard for him just to crack and say something. You know, if he really cared about Jack, if he really loved Jack, the mom probably said, like, hey, just tell me what you know. Like, that's like it started eating that person inside. Like, I gotta tell her, I gotta tell her. But they never got the chance to talk to him. But also, he probably got scared. He's 15 or 16. We don't know how old he was. But you think you got this man killed the guy that you was dating or in love with, and he's kind of getting away with it. Everybody's scared of him. Whatever move he do, like everybody's follow. Like as a teenager, you scared of your mind. You like, okay, I gotta keep this here to myself. But also, they probably eating up him now as an adult. He like, dang, like I know what happened to Jack, and I could speak of it, but this man is scaring me because I really don't know what power Jack fathers have, but I think he has some because you can't tell me that he's doing all of this with not a lot of power and not a lot of backup. You know? You don't think so?
So with me, if I really like thought I loved somebody, even though I was scared, maybe if it's temporary, right? But if I'm living in my truth, if that person actually embraced who they were, if it happened, if they existed, I think that they would want to honor the person that they loved. So even if it didn't happen right then and there, I believe, a couple years down the path, like they would have said, you know what? I know what happened. I feel like they would have came out.
But you don't know how scared they were. What if they never was living their truth though? Like
That's what I'm saying. If they're living their truth, if they're not, if they decided, okay, you know what, like they scared me straight type stuff, then I mean they're still living a lie. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like the truth has a way of catching up to you.
I mean, if the person who was there heard this case, give Jack mother and aunt and family members the closure that they need. They want to know what happened. We all know it's the father. Like there's
I just don't know. I mean, I guess he's buying out the police. It seems like it, but
yeah, for the case to go
yeah, because he was the last one to see him, and then it's like, what happened? Like, how did you place him somewhere else, or how do you make these assumptions?
Right. And like the aunt said that she knows the brother knows something, but he's just too scared to speak up. Because if that did happen in that house, the brother, he had to come home from school or activity. His father just couldn't clean it up before he came home.
And then the dad also had a history of abuse and all that stuff. So to me, this one's pretty easy. I'm going to say that it's the dad. You can't really change my mind.
I agree. It's the father. And I'm so sorry that Jack had to go through that pain. But that is our case, guys. This was a hard one to just talk about because we're a part of this community. And we are located on all podcast platforms. We are on social medias. We are on YouTube. So come check us out on YouTube. Subscribe, like, and comment. Give us a 5-star rating. And if you have a case that you want us to do on our podcast, please send us an email, comment that case you want us to do, and I will do it. This is Lesbian Detectives. Don't forget, everybody's a suspect.
So proven innocent.
Goodbye.
Lesbian detectives. Unsolved cases. She's still missing. Yeah, they haven't found her yet. Well, let's talk about it.
They say he vanished without a trace. Could it be a psychotic break or a tragic accident? Police don't know where the body went. Unsolved murders, body still missing. That's unheard. Where's the witness? Lesbian detectives, what's going on? City on high alert, this out the norm. He did what, the who? Man, that ain't real, these crimes ain't true. Then come uncover these theories with us. We live right now, tuning in is a must.
Right now, lesbian detective, lesbian detective. We about to start the show, so get your popcorn ready to go. Pay attention to the message I present to you, the lesbian detectives.